Here's Tom Aspray with another video on our exciting new watch list, pretty unique in the investment area. Video number 4. If you go to the Viper Report on YouTube, you can sign up and be sure you mark that you want to have notifications, and that way you'll get immediate update when new ones are released. On the main page, you can scroll down and you can find the 3 AI watch lists we've done over the past couple of weeks. I think you'll find them quite beneficial. This is what the ETF watch list looks like. This is as of July 30th, 2023. First of all, you can see a whole list of all the ETFs that we're looking at. And you can see at this point in time, there were 2 that had a weekly DTS signal in light green here, and several had daily DTSs. And pretty much all the ones in green closed above the quarterly pivot, which is handled in this column. And then we give you your Stark bands. You can find out about the Stark bands on the Viper Report, and new subscribers get a trader lesson on that as well. So at this point in time, there were 88.6 of the ETFs were positive. Historically, that's a very high number. Okay, if we look down a little further, you can see that of all the growth gauges we cover here, there are 10 of the leading growth ETFs, 100% were positive. You can see IPO just generated a daily DTS signal, and this gives you the change. It was up 3.97% for the week. The value ETFs also all positive. Not surprising that all the short ETFs here were negative, and all the long leveraged were positive except for TNA. This is what the S&P looked like, or the SPY looked at that time. We put out a special notification, a classic technical formation that no one seems to talk about anymore. Is called a key reversal. That happened on July 27th, this big red bar. What happens is the market opens up above the prior high and then ends up closing below the prior low. Yeah, this is often in this case, which is a bearish downside reversal, a very negative sign that I pointed out at the time. So with a negative reversal and those very high bullish readings, that was a sign of risk in the market. We move a little bit further. August 10th, you can see this is the table we have on both the Viper hot stocks and the ETFs. It shows you that 5 out of 6 of our AD lines had turned negative. You can see in this chart here that the S&P was below its moving average, testing support, and the OBV was negative. Also the same down here for the QQQ. If we look at the ETF report as of the 19th, you can see what a big change here, lots of red, a few green signs, but those were on the short ETFs over here. And you can see that the market gauge, only 46% were positive. The growth gauge, 30%, remember it was 100% at the end of July, and the value gauge was doing a little bit better. They were 63% positive. So that indicated a major shift in trend. You can see all of these growth ETFs, they had daily DTSs. They were starting to see weekly DTSs as well. So when you see a key reversal like that, it usually indicates you're near a top. And at that point, for traders, we typically move the stops up really tight in state profits. We'd much rather sell into strength. As you can see, after the reversal, we did get a bounce higher for a couple of days. Before the selling started off August, we dropped below the monthly pivot, at 448. So that was further evidence. And then at this point in time, it was the 4th of August, we dropped below. The AD line dropped below its moving average. And, what we look at then is to see how long it stays, one day, but back down. This is what I teach as a very bearish setup, and meant that the full-fledged correction, was likely underway at that point. We're at the 10th of August. And so, we go a little forward here, and you get into the 16th. You can see the AD line is now in a clear downtrend, and we already dropped below the S1. We're heading towards the S2, the pivot support level. So by the end of that week, we look at another ETF weekly report. You can see that only 46.3% are bullish anymore. You remember in late July it was 88 something. Growth stocks only 30%, down from 100%. Value at 63.6. It was 100% also, and you can see lots of red here. Pretty much all the high market flyers, are turning negative on a daily and a weekly basis. That's characteristic of a market decline. So in a down market, such as what we were in August and lasted actually till the end of October, we look to, recommend short sell candidates or put buying in some of these ones that are just turning negative. We'd give you specific levels of where to sell and what the targets are, and we utilize the Stark bands and the pivot support levels for downside targets. For those of you not familiar with the Viper Hot Stocks report, it's pretty much a trading service. We look to catch the 2 to 3 week or month to 2 month moves in stocks. Ideally, if we take a full position, we'll try to sell out half of it if we get a quick 10% profit in a couple of weeks. Then we'll manage the other part. Occasionally we will, if we get a decent pullback, we'll add back in the position we closed out. So, and we also, as I said before, recommend stocks to sell short. So at the end of February, we're not really a home run hitting. We don't look for those little stocks that, are going to come out of the woodwork and no one hears about too often. But we do scans on a daily basis and a weekly basis. So you can see at the end of February, the AD lines on the Qs and the IWM were negative, but everything else was pretty positive, and we weren't too far above the 20-day EMAs, so that suggested we had some room on the upside. In the Hot Stocks report, we really don't go for home runs, but we run scans, and we see something really interesting in between the regular reports, which generally come out Wednesday and Thursdays. We'll let you know. This one, for example, was set out on Wednesday the 28th, ahead of the weekly report on Thursday. Came up on our scan, saw this really tight formation for AVAV. It was up 4% this day. Okay, so I thought it was really going to break out of this flag, and it had earnings the following week. So, as I noted there, had a new weekly as well as a daily DTS buy signals that we talk about in the watch list. So I recommended a full long positions with a stop. If we were stopped out, the risk would have been 4.9%. This chart shows the entry. Kept going up on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and closed up strong on Monday. And then you can see what happened. It accelerated the upside, went from our entry around 126.70 up to a high of 184. We recommended selling half of it the following day at around 183. We're still holding on to the other with a stop to be sure we lock in a profit on that as well. Not a normal occurrence to get that big a hit, and of course past performance is no guarantee of future results, but our scans work quite well. In conclusion, this is our Viper ETF report as of the close of March 1st, and the one group we really liked that week was real estate. VNQ was our recommendation for ETF players, and also we recommended a REIT or two. You can see it had been down in below 20% positive, jumped up to 66 is sort of the level above 60 I look for, and a bunch of these realty companies, AVB, AMT, and CCI, had all flipped back 3-day buy signals as of last week. So take a look at these reports. If you don't have one, just drop us a line and say, Viper ETF in the subject line, and we'll send you out a copy. If you go to theviperreport.com, There's a sign-up page for the ETF or the hot stocks report. Also, we post our regular articles that also appear on Forbes. You can see that we talk about the bond market. Everyone thought that with the inflation report last week that rates would go higher. We thought it would go lower. You know, we're looking at really specific technical formations. That also caught the low in October when yields bombed out. So you can see here's how we use the MACD. So we started buying stocks here, you know, in October and early November. Clearly rates were declining. We thought that this rally was over going into the inflation report last week, and they've broken down. Great, that's all I have for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. I did get some nice comments and some good questions last week, so Tom@viperreport.com. Let me know what you're thinking, what you like, what you don't like. Thank you.